Hi, and welcome back to my weekly content creation recap video series where I talk about all of the content creation that I've been involved with in some way or the other from the previous week. My name is Mike Bivens. If you are not familiar with me or any of my content, I host a couple of podcasts. I'm currently writing a comic book, and I have a couple of other projects that are kind of in the fledgling stages, and I love content creation. I love the opportunity to engage in this kind of creativity in a way that I didn't really have the chance when I was younger, and so here I am. And younger, for anyone older than what I am, I'm 25. And by younger, I mean like throughout my childhood. And I had always, I guess this is turning into a story time. When I was younger, I always tried to get like friends to do content creation with me or make stuff, and it never really panned out. But it had always been something I've been interested in, and now that I'm in my mid-20s, I've engaged in content creation in ways that I wish I had started back when I was younger and when YouTube was still young. Anyways, let's get into the weekly recap. For those of you who didn't watch last week's episode, this was my spring break, and so I couldn't work, and I didn't really have class stuff to take care of. So I had a lot more time on my hands. Of course, some of that time had to be devoted to setting down the groundwork for me entering freelancing, but of course I'll talk about that in the going forward section at the end of this video. The first thing I like to talk about are my podcasts. I recorded a new Silent Journeys episode, got it edited, took care of all like the marketing and everything. So that episode is slated to release. That would be. Let's check here. The 29th of March. So we'll have a new episode with Hank Wade. I really enjoy this. This is just an 8-minute episode where I talk with Wade a little bit about what he does and how he kind of got into it. And his journey led him down a path towards engaging in mental health advocacy, but in the agricultural area. And so he was working, his idea is to work a lot more with farmers, and so he provides a kind of a different perspective from a lot of the other guests that I've had so far. And so I'm excited to share this episode, and I hope you enjoy it. One of the big things I really wanted to do this week was look at 5 questions, which was my first podcast, and it is still being viewed and downloaded at a crazy rate, and there's still a lot of success from it. And so I've been wanting to revive it, but I've not quite had the time. And so I spent this kind of week rethinking it, and I've kind of come up with a plan for rebranding and relaunching it. Obviously a soft relaunch. But so the imagery and even the name will be taking a change here pretty soon. I'm hoping to relaunch this sometime in June. But until then, I am excited to be taking it in a new direction. It's still going to have the core purpose of exploring the stories and the reasons behind advocates and activists engaging in the kind of work that they do. But it's going to include a little bit more of the educational component, and so we're going to be looking at different methods of activism. So for instance, an arc will be covering fashion activism, and then after that we might talk a little bit about digital activism, and so like exploring how those differ and what those methods are. And then we'll be doing a couple of interview episodes with different people that engage in those methods for different purposes, and so we can kind of see that applied in an actual way. And so we're still going to be looking at the actual people that engage in this work, but we're going to be taking a little bit of a different stance to ensure that kind of educational component is also included, because I think that speaks to a lot of people, and I think that can also broaden our understanding and appreciation for the work that these people do, if we can then first apply it to the knowledge that we've gained from it. And so look for that in June. Of course, I'll be talking about that on this weekly recap series, or on my website, or you can also follow me on Twitter at msbivens_. I of course tweet out everything there, and try to keep people updated on more quickly. So check that out, and I'm sure Twitter might see it before this, who knows. The next thing, my website. msbivens.com. I've continued to revamp some of the web pages. There's still some work I want to do, and so not everything is live just yet. But the big focus this week has been kind of streamlining some of those pages and automating some of my processes, just because I am spread out on a lot of different projects and have a lot of different things going on. And so it was important to me to find a way to focus in without giving up or putting projects to the side right now. That's not something I want to do. I think that I'm fully capable of handling all of the current projects I have. I just need to think smarter. Think smarter, not harder. And so new webpage content inbound. One of the big things that are going to be coming up is for the comic book. So the comic book will have its own individual page on my website for some updates as we move forward. But to talk about that a little bit more succinctly, we'll move into that section of today's video. First up, cover's done. Artist got the final version of the comic book cover to me. I fully approved it, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to be putting it in right here for us, so you can kind of check it out a little bit. As you can see, I settled on a title, that being The Last of the Mastiff Riders. I'm really excited. This story has been completed, and it's currently under the first round of editing. And so we're moving forward. I'm excited, as I say constantly, but I really can't explain like how much I've enjoyed this process and just how much I've learned from it in so many different areas. And I'm looking forward to moving towards the Kickstarter. The goal is to get this Kickstarter launched within 90 days. And we'll kind of see where that goes. But for updates, I am going to be starting a newsletter that you can sign up for on my website underneath the comic section, specifically for this comic. I'll have a newsletter, and what that newsletter is going to be is it's going to be infrequent. It's not going to be an established like once a week or once a month or once every 2 weeks, nothing like that. It's going to be, at this moment, the intention is for it to be as updates are developed. And so I obviously won't do it, if I have a week of just like a lot of big updates, I wouldn't send that newsletter out every day. Probably if I have a couple of heavy weeks working going on, I would probably do that once a week. As you can see, like that's still under review, but I would be excited if you're interested in this comic book, interested in hearing more about the story, about the characters, about the world, whatever that may be. Sign up for the newsletter. All of those are going to be there. And of course, as the Kickstarter launches, this newsletter is going to be pretty important to connect with you and to share these updates in another way, and to bring in other people and show them what this comic book is about. And honestly, I hope that I can reach out and find an audience for this project, because yeah, I put a lot of heart and soul into this, and so I'm just hoping that people can see that and people feel that when they read the story and meet these characters and learn about them. And so I hope it hits home for some people. I am planning on this being more of a horror kind of darker comic, and so we're going to be seeing a little bit of darker themes, more mature content kind of throughout the comic series. It is not going to be a one-shot, it is going to be an ongoing series, and so I would especially love feedback after this first series, or as we go throughout the process. And so I'll be talking to artists and some other people that will be kind of involved in this project to see, let's finalize this team, let's figure out who's going to be helping me through this process, and who am I going to be working with. Other stuff for the going forward parts of this recap series, or recap video. This content right here, the weekly recap, may need to take a break as I transition into freelancing, and so when that's going to be is in the month of May. It's still not dead set whether it's the first or third week of May. It still kind of depends on how much of the project I'm able to do in my current job at the institution I work for. That directly impacts when I am done with my kind of term there, and so I will need May to just focus in on securing contracts and getting things started and underway for my freelancing opportunities. And so I may take a few breaks, a few weeks break, or maybe just do bi-weekly for the first 2 months while I'm getting my kind of bearings. I of course will keep you updated via this weekly recap, and so I will do my best to produce this content, but I also need to recognize that I'm entering into the unknown, very much the unknown, where I starting off in a new career, very far away from higher education, I think, and so there's a lot to learn and there's a lot to get underneath my belt, and so I just need to recognize that I need to focus some more time there. And this weekly recap series is important, and I think it provides a really valuable reflection time for me, and as well as accountability, but it's also something that I can set aside without feeling bad, especially as like the Kickstarter moves forward. My main focus during that time will obviously be the comic book and communicating with backers or potential backers as well. And so a lot of my weekly recap video will likely be stuff that's covered in the comic book Kickstarter campaign. But that's kind of it. Just a quick note, there will not be a video next week. I have some personal stuff going on in my life for that weekend, and I just won't be able to produce a video. So I'll be back in 2 weeks' time. That would be the 3rd. So April 3rd will be the next video. Thank you so much for joining on this weekly recap video.